Om Narayanam Padmabhuvam Vasishtam Shaktim cha Tatputra Parasharancha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Mathasya Shishyam Shri Shankaracharya Mathasya Padmapadancha Hastamalakancha Shishyam Tam Totakam Vartikakaramanyānasmat Kurun Santatamānatosmi Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashikritau Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punah Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavatyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Dayanandeshwaraya Namaha. Okay. So these are our verses from chapter 13 that we are doing. Today we'll be just briefly looking at that. Amanitvam adambitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham stairyamatma vinigraha indriyarteshu vairagyam anahankara evacha janma mrityu jara vyadhi. No, where am I? Dukkha doshanu darshanam. Actually, we read it in one go, okay? Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam asaktirana bishwangaha putradara grihadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu mai chananya yogena bhaktiravyabicharini Viviktadesha-sevitvam aratirjana samsade adhyatma-jnana nityatvam tattva-jnanartha darshanam etad-jnanamiti proktam ajnanam yadatonyatha. Om. So far we had discussed, amanitvam. Okay, इधर तो मैंने लिख लिया है what it means. But anybody would like to contribute anything to that? Amanitvam, manitvam, amanitvam. So absence of conceit I've written here. Not demanding that others should know what one's greatness is, The pride that I should be respected. Being free of that. In other words, humility. Amanitvam, adambhitvam. No hypocrisy. Okay, there is no hypocrisy, not demanding what? That others should recognize the virtues that I don't have. Meaning presenting yourself as having something which you don't have. That will be dambhitvam. And adambhitvam means to be free of that. Ahimsa, harmlessness, not hurting physically, verbally, or emotionally. Ahimsa. Okay. Kshantihi, accommodating others. Tolerance. Meaning what? Cultivating patience, understanding, forgiveness, acceptance. Correct? All of that will be involved. Okay. Arjavam. I've written straightforwardness here. Meaning what? Waiting for response. See? Arjavam. Truthfulness. Okay. Openness. Person who is very open, who is truthful, who's aligned. Means they do what they think. 3 ways, They say what they think and they do what they say. Okay, so Arjavam, straightforward person. Okay, then we've done all of this actually. Acharyopasanam, reverence and service to the teacher, right? Very respectful. And then whatever seva is required, being available for that, ready to do that. Shaucham. Shaucham means cleanliness, both external as well as internal. So, external with reference to where one stays, and then with reference to the body, and internal also. So, even with reference to the mind. So, internal cleanliness. And with reference to this, we had talked about Pratipaksha Bhavana. Anybody remembers that? What is Pratipaksha Bhavana? Pratipaksha Bhavana means having the opposite thought. Okay. So if I don't like somebody, then I purposely go and look for what is good in that person. I start entertaining the opposite set of thoughts. So internal cleanliness, many methods are there. Shastra will talk about Pratipaksha Bhavana. We, of course, in modern language will talk about all kinds of things, lot of psychology and EFT and yoga, pranayam, everything is involved. Eh? Okay. You know, this time when I went for that health program, I'll break this. Oh God, our class will become long. Okay, but this is worth sharing with you all. I'll come back. So in the health program, that gentleman there, Eunice Ship Chandler, that's his name, Eunice Ship Chandler. This gentleman, he taught a very simple method. I think it is used by the heartfulness meditation people, you know. And he said कि मन के अंदर कोई भी if you have anything, you know, non-positive thought in your mind, or you have any kind of negative, you're angry with somebody or you're upset for whatever reason, you allow that thought to come in your mind and then you blow it. And he asked people, you know, think of something. Some people thought of old things, people they are angry with since 8 years, another person since 20 years, they are upset with somebody, you know. So people thought of things like this. He said, okay, the method is very simple. All you do is you blow and keep blowing it. Slowly, slowly, that memory will become dim. And जो अंदर का जो वो that whatever emotion was there, it will go away. And truly people experience that. What happened is the image became lighter. For some of them, the image went away completely. For some of them, the image became lighter. I didn't know what to deal with, you know. I was thinking, what shall I do? Then I did for Putin, no? So, oops, my God, it's getting recorded. Anyway, so फू करके मेरा भी वो थोड़ा कम हुआ है. Whatever I was feeling, you know. And then that image goes away from your mind. So amazing. Eh? For one or two people, it didn't go. Then he said, you have to do more foo-foo. Eh? So he called them one-on-one to do. And then I thought maybe he'll give some counseling session to those people. No, he just made them sit and do foo-foo in front of him. Eh?
Okay.
So we called it now the foo-foo method. Eh? आपको foo करना है. So you can try it. Anytime you're upset, it is even simpler than EFT. Eh? तो foo, ऐसे करना है. That's it. Okay? And try it. Okay, we come back to our class. Okay. Shaucham, right? In the method of Shaucham, I was there. Okay. So basically, Shaucham, inner cleanliness, always involves changing our thinking. We have a set pattern of thinking, and that the thinking can cause the issue. And so we change the pattern of thinking. So even for these foo-foo people, their whatever they were feeling went away, and they were actually feeling like, why did I have this? You know, why was I holding on to this for so long? Some people for 20 years, 25 years, they are holding on to certain, whatever their dukkhas were. Eh? He didn't, we don't have to express what it is. You just have to do foo-foo. Amazing. Okay. So at the end of it, their thinking also got changed. Then we have stairyam. Stairyam is, firmness, steadfastness. So what will we say? Firmness with reference to dharma. That I will do dharma acharanam. No matter what, I will not compromise. I'm determined. So no vacillation in a life of dharma. Or now we know that we are almost dharmic people only. So then it will be no vacillation in our sadhana. We are sthira, अपने साधना में स्थैर्यम है. Then atma vinigraha is self discipline, another word for mastery over the mind. Using the mind as it needs to be used. What is that? Viveka. Always keeping viveka on top. Okay, trying my best at least. So that whatever weakness is there in the mind, it can be dealt with. So that weakness comes under your sway, you don't come under the sway of the weakness. Yeah? Okay. Then indriyartheshu vairagyam. Let me see my controls are sitting here. So let me move that. Hey, Bhagwan. Okay. Indriyartheshu vairagyam, dispassion towards sense objects. Our mind gives value. We add value to things that they don't really have. So we think that things are the source of our happiness. Situations, people, things, these are all the source of our happiness. At the moment, it is indriyartheshu. So whatever is an object of the senses, towards that developing a certain dispassion, knowing how will we develop dispassion? Only by again and again seeing the fact that they cannot really give me what I am really looking for. So what am I really looking for? I am really looking for permanent, permanent happiness, permanent security, permanence. Nityam is what I want. So that objects cannot give. And because of that, a certain dispassion towards them one can have. Okay? Doesn't mean that you will not use them or enjoy them. You can use them, you can enjoy them also as well. But you know that ना इसमें से मैं जो चाहती हूँ वो नहीं मिलने वाला है. So certain things we need for comfort, an oil heater, now it has become cold. You may use an oil heater. In summer, you may use an air conditioner. You use them, you know it is for my comfort, but it doesn't give me happiness. It does not make, the happiness is my own function. It's because that we imagine that they are the source of our happiness that we get attached to them. If we didn't have that thinking in our mind, that attachment will not happen. Then we had indriyateshu vairagyam. Then, anahankaraha. Anahankara is, we saw absence of arrogance, not presenting oneself in the reflection of some, something that one possesses, some glorious thing that one possesses. Supposing, I don't know what is the best car in the world now. Whatever that best car is, basking in the glory of that best car which you own. That could be one. Or in another way, you can say is absence of ego. Okay, where ego here is the basic assumption. Okay, this is a tough one. Ego here I'm taking as the basic assumption that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. Aham karta, aham bhukta iti. This aham karta, aham bhukta is the cause of lot of confusion. And this aham karta, aham bhukta is there because of ignorance alone. I can see everyone is getting more confused than me. But this aham karta and aham bhukta How can it be removed? Only by knowledge, nothing else. So by knowledge of what? Knowledge of the self that is not karta and not bhukta. When one recognizes that there is a dimension about myself which is not a karta and not a bhukta, that dimension is real. It exists. It is me. Iti. Then this relative sense of kartritvam and bhoktritvam becomes relative. Otherwise, it's very real for us, that I am karta, I am bhukta. And once I am karta and bhukta, I also become the one who earns punya and who earns papa. And once I become the one who earns punya and papa, of course, I am in the cycle of rebirth, in the cycle of samsara again. But anyway, let's not bother about that. This we are talking about the ego which gives rise to boastfulness. Person becomes very boastful, has lot of pride. So absence of ego, anahankara. Then janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam. Seeing very clearly that there is sorrow. What kind of sorrow? What is the basic sorrow that we all get in life? Guilt and hurt. And this sorrow is there if you believe that you are subject to janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. You're subject to birth, death, old age, disease. Okay? If you think you're subject to all of this, then there is sorrow, there's dukkha. So seeing this fact, okay, that there is dukkha in janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. Seeing that okay, as an embodied being, I'm subject to all of this. How do I get out of it? So Vedanta has only one solution. You don't get out of it until you know that you are out of it. That's a mystery, no? Until you know you're out of it, you don't get out of it. Iti. Okay. Asakti, absence of ownership. बोलना कि mine, ये मेरा है, ये मेरा है, ये मेरा है. Yeah? Asakti. So sakti means ownership. Asakti means absence of ownership. Anabhishwangah putradara grihadishu. All tough ones, Bhagwan is throwing at us. Okay. Lack of attachment. Or free of attachment. Instead of saying lack of attachment, free of attachment to what? To offspring. To wife means spouse. To offspring, to spouse, to house. Live like you are a trustee. Who's trustee? Ishvara's trustee. Then you look after things and you look after people for Bhagwan's sake. An attitude is that it is not mine. I'm a managing trustee. So I operate, okay, without this attitude of mine. We looked about this in pretty great detail in the class, okay. So basic attitude is Bhagwan provides everything. I have to only take care of it. Again, you can see how it's all linked, absence of ownership, and then immediately comes anabhishwangaha putradara grihadishu. So the attitude, the change in attitude is recognizing that everything is owned by Ishvara. Iti. I am only here as a trustee taking care of it. This is the Karma Yoga attitude. Then Nityam cha samachittatvam ishta anishta upapattishu. Sameness of mind. Maintaining equanimity of mind towards whatever is desirable, ishta, and anishta, which is not desirable. Towards both of them, having sameness of mind, knowing that both are going to come in life, both ishta and anishta will come in front of me. Iti. And because this karma yogi, we are talking about the karma yogi's values, this karma yogi already has great shraddha in Ishvara's niyati, in the order. So within that order, it has come. If it has come within the order, Namaha. Always the Namaha Buddhi, the surrender to Ishvara's order. And therefore, he has Samachittatva. He is always having that equanimity. Iti. Maicha Ananya Yogena Bhaktihi Avyabhicharini. Ananya Yogena. Okay? Avyabhicharini Bhakti. Unswerving devotion. To whom? Here Lord says Mahi. Mahi means to me. To me who? The Lord. How? To recognizing that there is nothing else here except the Lord. And therefore, I am also not separate from the Lord. I'm completely included in the Lord, completely included. I'm not isolated entity, not an alienated, isolated entity. I'm completely included in the Lord. You can see how much the mindset, what a change of mindset. And with that, we come to today's value, which is Viviktadesha-sevitvam. Oh, 27 minutes went in this. Okay. Okay. So, the necessity for taking to the practice of solitude. That is this Viviktadesha-sevitvam. Viviktadesha means what? It indicates a very pure place, a solitary place. It's not only pure, it is free from all external distraction. So it is advisable for mumukshus. This is at the level of when there is time for nididhyasana. When it becomes time for nididhyasana, take to such a place, go to a very sacred, solitary place, because in such places, the mind becomes very free of restlessness, becomes serene. It's like what I experienced in Pune. In this particular place I went to, there were a lot of, the ambience was so exquisite, My mind used to become still like a pond, right? Just still, absolutely still. Just being in nature, exquisite nature all around. I used to go off walking by myself, There was a lot of 32 acres of land. So I used to go walking by myself and just go and sit on a swing and just gaze. That's it. And all these Vedanta thoughts will come at that time. So much of it, so ideal for Nididhyasana to go to a solitary place, which is very pure, free from all distraction, particularly nature, and really the mind becomes free from restlessness and so serene. So it becomes easy to contemplate on the self. So the person whose nature it is to stay in such a place is a Viviktadesha-sevi. And the attitude in his mind, which is there, is Viviktadesha-sevitvam. Okay? Meaning the repairing to a solitary place, a secluded place. Iti. Now some Vedanta. Look at what consciousness is. Consciousness means who? You, me, all of us. Okay? We are basically self-evident consciousness. What Shastra is pointing out that consciousness which we are is Eka. Ekameva Advitiyam. One without a second. That's all there is. There is only consciousness here. So in that sense, there is no second. So in that sense, we can say, only in that sense, okay, that solitude is the inherent nature of the self. There's nothing else here to keep company with, When you say, I have company of so-and-so, that so-and-so is somebody else, something else. But consciousness itself is ekameva dvitiyam. It has got nothing else. So in that sense, we can say, it is eka, ekant. It is always an ekant consciousness iti. And for the same reason, because there is nothing else there in consciousness except consciousness, consciousness is pure. There's nothing else to come and stay in it. So it is Shuddham, Nitya Shuddha. Okay? Nitya ekaha iti. So nitya shuddha, nitya ekaha, when you go to a solitary place where you're not distracted by anything and your love is for this knowledge, okay, your samskaras are all for this knowledge, then I tell you, automatically it just comes. It just arises in your head. It was so beautiful for me, I always used to think that I have to go there and stay there for some time. So one can meditate on the nature of the self being eka, being shuddha. Then the self is asanga. Arey, that word itself may scare people. Asanga, which is got no sanga, not attached. Iti. Meaning what? Free of all relationships. Hey Ram. Iti. Free of all relationships. Why? Only eka. To have relationship, there must be two, no? There must be a husband, there must be a wife, there must be parents, there must be child. Then two at least minimum is required for a relationship. But जो एक ही है वो कौन सा relationship उसको हो सकता है? On top of it, it is satya also. Iti. So there is no relationship free of all relationship. So just as space is everywhere, okay, but remains unaffected by all that is in its, in space, everything is accommodated, no? Everything is in space. I really had this as an anubhava. Similarly, this consciousness, which is the self, okay, the real self, even though it's present everywhere in the body, being satya, that which is independent, it is always unattached even to the upadhi of the body. Need lot of Vedanta to understand this. So always asanga iti. Therefore, it is not influenced by whatever limitation is there in the upadhi. Supposing the ear can't hear, or the eyes can't see, okay, or the stomach can't digest. Whatever limitation is there in the upadhi, consciousness illumines it. In its presence, in fact, that limitation is empowered actually. But consciousness itself is not affected by whatever is there in the upadhi. Iti. For this, understanding this, you have to bring up so much of Vedanta, that what is the nature of the upadhi? Is it satyam or is it mithya? Is it a product of Maya Shakti? Means it's an appearance. Iti. Those kind of things will come up. Okay. So consciousness is the upadana karanam. Upadana karanam means it's the material cause. And it's the material cause which is there. If material cause means what? Like wood is the material cause of Komal's that bed stand. That is the material cause. Wood is the material of the table. Clay is the material of a clay pot. Steel is the material of a steel glass. Right? So, the material is in and through the object. Right? So, consciousness is the material cause, the upadana karanam. So, it is present in everything. Har vastu mein hai. In everything, even in your hair, Shobha, before you go to sleep. I can see all of you, I don't know if you can see everyone, but I can see everybody. So it is there even in your hair. Iti, consciousness is there everywhere. Iti. So the hair is limited. Why will we say hair is limited? Because right now it is white, not black. Or it is only on this hair, is only on this head, it is not on that head. So this hair is limited by space, it is limited by time, it is limited by object. It is totally limited. Okay? Consciousness is in and through this hair. Really it is, Yet consciousness is not limited by the limitation which is present in this piece of hair. Okay, consciousness is totally free of limitation. Consciousness, which is also existence, Sat. You know, you people also have na Sat Omkar, something like that is there. Sat is the truth, is, is that which cannot ever be negated. Sat means that which can never be negated, that which never goes out of existence. Sat, the isness of everything. Yeah. So consciousness is Sat. It is the isness of everything. It cannot be destroyed, no matter what. And therefore, its presence is there in everything. Even in those things which are limited. हर वस्तु में consciousness है, और yet consciousness is never affected, okay, by the problems of anything in which it is. It is, that's why we call it asanga. It is satyam, it is asanga. Swe mahimni tishtati. Ever established, you know, Shastra has these beautiful words. Swe mahimni tishtati. Ever established in its own glory. Even as it is empowering everything, it is established in its own glory. Now, why so much of Vedanta? Just to point out that in order to be able to recognize this self or consciousness as it is, we want to recognize it as it is. We want to contemplate upon it as it is. To be able to do that, one's mind needs to be free, very, very free of the restlessness, of the clutter, of all the so many beliefs. It needs to be totally free and unattached and highly committed to self-knowledge. Because when we are talking about recognition, it is recognition that this is who I am. This is what I am. This is who I am. This is me. There's no difference. You know, this is me. All that is in the way because it's me. But there's only one thing in the way. And that one thing in the way is our mind. That's all. With all its, you know, gacha-pucha which is sitting in there in the mind, in form of different thoughts and patterns and beliefs and ragas and dveshas and projections and pucho nahi kya. Okay? That's all which is in the way. Otherwise, it's we are purna. Everything is there. There's only one thing in the way, and that's the mind, the way it is. Okay? So, a solitary place, coming back to my point, a solitary place is very helpful for gaining, okay, for the mind to quieten down, which is necessary for this kind of nididhyasana. Iti. Now, another serious point. Nididhyasana requires that we first understand, like we are listening to satsang and we are understanding what is the nature of consciousness. Iti. We understand what it is. Next step is we recognize it, even if it's for a brief second. Like I always used to tell you when we were doing Atma Bodha, even if you have a few minutes of Shanti, are you going to say that the Shanti came from outside? Or are you going to recognize, my God, this Shanti is myself? So then that few minutes of recognition, you know, that, oh my God, yeah, this is me. This is what I am. I'm Shanta Swarupa. So Nididhyasana would require that one has some kind of recognition, okay, of oneself, iti, and acceptance. Recognition may happen, but then again, all the doubts and bada, everything goes on, you know. Acceptance that the self that I am is purna. It is whole, complete, does not require to add anything, does not require to minus anything. That's the meaning of whole, okay? completely whole, iti. So through Shravana, we will understand, and in a quiet moment of peace, like I told you, we will recognize, and then we accept that this peace, this Shanti is myself. Always present, exactly like this. Purna Atma, there's no change in Purna Atma. All that changes is the mind. The clouds are all the mind. Purna Atma is always Shanta Swarupa. No change. हमेशा ऐसा ही है. Iti. But what happens because of my commitment here and there, I forget. Iti. Another problem is that we have a very intimate knowledge, right from childhood, right from previous births also, that I am apurna. I am limited. This is the ahamkara, okay? Who is associated with the body mind and saying, I'm the body mind sense complex and therefore feeling limited all the time. This is the ahankara iti. So that means what? If you believe you are ahankara, it means you are denying that you are atma. When one says that I am the body mind sense complex, which is what ahankara is, it means you're saying I am not purna atma. It's as good as saying I'm not purna atma. Iti. So there is a denial of being purna. And there is a belief, a strongly held belief that this is true. I am this body, I am apurna. Very strongly held belief. Okay? So there is rejection of this Purna Atma which is shining all the time. And it's because Purna Atma is there that even the sense of Apurnata is illumined. वो प्रकाशित क्यों है? हमें जो ये अहंकार, हमारी अहंकार क्यों प्रकाशित हो रहा है? किससे प्रकाशित हो रहा है? चैतन्य इधर है, चैतन्य के कारण ये प्रकाशित हो रहा है कि हाँ, मैं अपूर्ण हूं. Even the sense of apurnata is being lighted up in the presence of this Purna Atma, this Prakash, this Chaitanya, okay? This light of consciousness. So what has happened is we are rejecting, constantly rejecting. This rejection of Purna Atma becomes the basis of dissatisfaction with ourselves. I'm not satisfied with myself because I believe I am body, mind, sense complex. So then we are very keenly aware of Upadhi's shortcomings. हाँ, मेरे बाल सफेद हो रहे हैं, मेरे आंख अभी में प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, कान सुन नहीं रही है, अभी प्री डायबिटीज हो गई है, कोलेस्ट्रॉल आ गई है, हार्ट की प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. All these kind of, this is there. And so we are keenly aware of Upadhi's shortcomings and we believe they are my shortcomings. Iti. And so unconsciously, we can even be ashamed. Okay? Ashamed of ourselves. And because of this rejection of Purna Atma, but there is a feeling of discomfort. We are not comfortable with ourselves. Really, we are not comfortable. And because not being comfortable with ourselves, we want to avoid. We want to escape. And we will escape in any number of ways. So many activities we will do to escape. Because escape our discomfort with ourselves. Iti. So many. Today in Facebook, I asked that question because I was doing this class. That what are the activities we will indulge in, to escape facing ourselves? Everything. From eating onwards, somebody can eat compulsively, somebody can go dancing, somebody can gossip, somebody can phone somebody. It can just be anything. Somebody can want to gym, gymming karte hain, dancing karte hain. Doing out of joy is a different thing. But doing for the sake of not wanting to face, and it's very unconscious, not facing ourselves, iti, facing our discomfort. Okay. Then continuously browsing the internet, all of this can go on. We avoid facing ourselves. So before Nididhyasana can take place, before we can resort to a solitary place, right? Where we can spend time for Nididhyasanam iti. It is very important to understand one's own personality. And to understand one's own personality, one needs a lot of grace and one needs a lot of honesty. So you have to become familiar with your own personality strengths and limitations, to accept your own unique individuality. I had a difficult time, with accepting that my memory is very bad. I have a poor memory, because of which it's difficult for me to speak spontaneously. I won't hold, I have to write down. I won't hold things in place. So that was difficult, the problem at Upadhi level, and I'm taking it as my problem. Then naturally there is a difficulty, you're ashamed. Iti. So there's such a freedom when you're able to recognize, that my God, I'm actually free of this Upadhi. It's a huge freedom. Huh? Anyway, so one recognizes how to handle what is there in one's unconscious and how to handle it. You make the necessary effort to free yourself from some of it. So satsang, study of scriptures, they are a must, because one learns how to think. Really, our thinking becomes straight. Iti. And repeated exposure to Shastra helps us to gain, that is for Shobha. Repeated exposure to Shastra, okay, helps us to gain the understanding of nature of our mind, the challenges that we have, and teaches us methods with which to come out of those challenges. And sometimes very strongly embedded patterns are there. We can use all kinds of energy healing modalities, Fufu can be used. It's just energy healing. Pranayama, yoga. There is special yoga which is there to handle trauma. And the Westerners discovered, which is actually basically mindfulness, being very mindful. It's a very special thing. There are people who teach yoga which is for addressing trauma. EFT, havening techniques, Fufu, so many methods are there. Use whatever is required for very deeply embedded samskaras. Samskaras are impressions. Now, while Shastra and Guru and healers and whatnot can help us, whose responsibility it is to free oneself? It is the seeker's responsibility. Nobody else can do it for us. We ourselves have to do. Each one has to recognize their own particular nature of their antakarana and what that antakarana requires, and take that up as a sadhana, which requires a lot of honesty. So responsibility lies with each of us. Each of us are fully responsible. So it's necessary to spend time with ourselves. So this kind of self-introspection is also kind of meditation, and it's necessary before Nididhyasana. Mind, because at the stage of Nididhyasana, mind has to be clean and clear. Yeah. Otherwise, what Nididhyasana will you do? Everything will keep bubbling up, and you will not have space for Nididhyasana. Then when the mind becomes calm and healthy, then this Nididhyasana is possible. Okay. So daily, Jignasu, the seeker, needs to devote some time for introspection, self-introspection. So sadhana is 24/7. And this kind of introspection, looking at yourself, is 24, has to be consistent and regular. Only then you become familiar with, the ways of your mind. And so undesirable tendencies need to be handled using various methods. So one of the ways we can do this is, I suggest not at the end of the day. You may stay awake the whole night then, Next morning, you can just give 15 minutes, scan the previous day, scan the whole day, and see what if there was anything triggering you. Something triggering the anxiety, something triggering the irritation, something triggering the whatever is getting triggered, So the hurt, the guilt, whatever, the fear. Is there any trigger point? Understand those things, and learn to handle it, learn to be free of it. See what needs to change. Is there a belief behind it? How can I change that belief? Iti. take help if necessary. Yeah. So in this way, one faces one's personality, one gains understanding about it, and makes a prayerful. The best thing is, prayer. भगवान के हाथ में दे दो कि भगवान मेरा ये प्रॉब्लम है, प्लीज हेल्प मी, आई नीड योर हेल्प, मेरा पर्टिकुलरली ये प्रॉब्लम है, किसी को बोल नहीं सकती हूँ, एटलीस्ट भगवान को बोल सकते हैं कि मेरा ये इश्यू है, प्लीज प्लीज भगवान हेल्प मी आउट विद दिस. Okay, conscious prayerful effort, and then try to take care of these. Okay, then it will, what happens is you get a level of inner peace, and then with the help of shastras you can take to nididhyasana. Coming back to topic, what kind of places to go to? River banks. Shastra only says river banks, forests, mountains, caves, temples. All these can be called as Viviktadesha. These places are all very sacred because saints and Mahatmas have been doing their tapas there. So much of tapas has been done. So they're very, very sacred. Mind becomes very naturally quiet. Okay? Place association has an effect on our mind. So when you go to a holy place, produces a very favorable effect. I don't know if you all have experienced it. There is a place, Vasisht Gufa, in, above Rishikesh, there is this place called Vasisht Gufa. Such a peaceful place. Immediately your mind will become, great tapas has gone in that gufa, Like that, any place that you go to, my mother had gone to this Sadhguru's, some temple he has, Shivling temple. She experienced great. I experienced extraordinary stillness in the Buddhist caves. वो अजंता एलोरा का Buddhist caves है ना, in one particular cave, maybe in some previous life I was a Buddhist monk or what, I don't know what happened. I was just transfixed there. Other caves, nothing happened. This particular cave mein, man ekdam still, what they will call a shunya. So sometimes, these places have an effect on us. They affect our minds. So this kind of purification, contentment is achieved very quickly in such places. And they are free from all outside distractions. So it becomes very free. Okay. When we are in contact with the world, it stimulates rajas and tamas in us, So solitary place is good because sattva will arise in it. And then what do? We spend our, on the nature of God, etc. We can do that. So occasionally it's good to learn to live alone. Being alone is good, not being lonely. Being alone is good. We learn to be with ourselves and we can love that. Okay. So being free of craving to be with friends and family, that will come next. Okay. All that I said. Okay. Now, yeah. So I will say it. Facing your own loneliness first. Facing the discomfort of loneliness. Loneliness is a very discomforting feeling. Very discomforting. Okay? And that discomfort you will feel in your body. Most people can't stand it. They'll immediately distract themselves because it's very uncomfortable. Very visceral. Okay? And so if you're able to allow yourself to feel it, then it actually passes. And you'll find, on the other side of loneliness is the Chaitanyam which illumines that loneliness. Anyway, never mind. So loneliness is painful, solitude is not. Okay. So then with that, yeah, already we had 54 minutes. We will continue next time with looking at what Shastra has to say about the place of meditation, how to meditate, and then how in one's own house one can do. One can create such a place where one's mind becomes very quiet and one becomes very peaceful. Okay? And what one can do there. With that, yeah. Oh, wow, I was planning to take one more value, but this itself took so much time. Okay, so next time we will continue with this. Now only 3 or 4 are left, So next time we will do this little bit and then the next one we will do. I wanted to keep it 40 minutes, but I was not able to. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Okay, I think you're in enough time. You have time to have tea and then go for the prayer meeting. Hari Om Tat Sat.